Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk a little bit about the incident that happened or was reported yesterday, April the 6th, 2022, about the incident that happened on March the 25th regarding Tammy Lynn Sytch, aka Sunny, former professional wrestler, former wrestling manager. We all know Sunny, people here on my channel, of course, a wrestling channel. Anyway, she was involved in a three-car uh, crash in which a 75-year-old woman um, passed away. Sonny, of course, was under the influence at this time, and in Ormond County, Florida. We don't really know if uh, what are the charges that Sonny is going to come up under if she is found guilty of this, driving, you know, under the influence of either drugs or alcohol. This isn't Sunny's first brush with the law. She's had several over the years. And unfortunately, she is one of those individuals that is associated with professional wrestling and associated with entertainment in general that we always talk about. Those individuals who are like the butt of jokes, like the late DMX or the late Scott Hall. Those people that you know, their reputation precedes them. They are known for, indulging in this kind of stuff and struggling with this kind of addiction. It has been known among the wrestling community that Sunny is has been like this for years. Basically, since she was in the WWE in her first run from 1995 to 1998. She fell in really with a bad crowd. She, of course, cheated on her fiance at the time, skipped from the Body Donnas, and started having an affair with Shawn Michaels. Started having an affair apparently with the British Bulldog, and allegedly with Bret Hart. We don't know, but really with Shawn Michaels, she became the click chick. She often talks about it in interviews where Shawn Michaels took her to Jamaica over a weekend in 1996, and he proposed to her, and she said no because she was getting back with Chris Candido, and then Shawn Michaels went off to marry Rebecca the Nitro Girl. The timelines really don't really match up, but that's her story. She, you know, she recounts in her book how Shawn Michaels was the one who got her allegedly into drugs, and from there, you know, she left the WWE and went to ECW in 1998, and she got even worse. There are stories where she was like sucking off Sabu for pills, and sleeping with all kinds of wrestlers for pills. Even Chris Candido's close friend, the late Balls Mahoney. You know, just really tragic stuff when it comes to her. You know, she has tremendous accolades. She was the most downloaded woman in the history of America online in 1996. This was the early days of the internet. She managed three tag teams. The first, of course, the Body Donnas, Skip and Zip. Um, Zip Skip really wasn't making it as a solo act, so they brought in Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard's brother, Tom Pritchard from the Heavenly Bodies, as a body double and a partner for him, and they won the tag team championships. Then she turned babyface and she was with the Godwins. And then she turned on the Godwins and she was with the Smoking Guns. And that was the team that I liked her with the most, honestly. The Smoking Guns. That was when she got the slop bucket poured on her, when the Smoking Guns were feuding with the Godwins in the mid 1996. And she fit the most with Billy and Bart after they turned heel. So, and then in 1998, WrestleMania 14, right before the Tag Team Battle Royal, she came out with LOD 2000. She looked pretty hot with LOD 2000, but it didn't really last because, she had her problems. So they let her go. First, they let Chris Candido go, like around 97 ish. They tried to repackage the Body Donnas as babyface with a transgender manager named Cloudy. Get it? The opposite of Sunny. cloudy. It didn't really work. So they let Chris Candido go. He went to ECW to become no gimmick needed. Chris Candido, and she followed him. And then they did that thing on ECW TV in 1999 where she had that candid interview where she talks about the drug use and she talks about the rumors and everything. Unfortunately, Chris Candido, when he was part of TNA in 2005, passed away. And she talks about it in shoot interviews where Dixie Carter, um, the owner of TNA, just gave her a Christmas ham or whatever instead of Christmas money. They went overseas, to places like Puerto Rico and they wrestled and everything. But Sunny always seemed like when she would show up in indie shows, she was a real wreck, especially from like 2001 to 2003 when her and Missy Hyatt did the Wrestling Vixen stuff online. And then later, like when she was doing porn and everything, famously, Conrad Thompson and Bruce Pritchard have the episode where they talk about Sunny and they talk about how she farted or she pooted in the porn that she had done. She went the route of China after she couldn't do anything in wrestling. She did porn, which is ironic because when they were starting to do the Playboy thing in like 98 ish, right? They approached Sunny first because Sunny was, they call her the first diva because really she was the first to really bring sex appeal to the managers and the valets of wrestling. Because yeah, you had Sherry back in the day, and you had Miss Elizabeth, and before that you had like Wendy Richter or the Fabulous Moolah, and even before that you had like Judy Martin or um, Judy Grable, right? And the Johnson sisters and every female wrestler that we all know about, especially that was associated with uh, Billy Wolf, the promoter of female wrestling in the 30s and 40s. But in terms of the WWE and in terms of wrestling, not wrestling, being a valet, nobody was really had any sex appeal. Yeah, Miss Elizabeth did that one thing at SummerSlam 1988 where she kind of showed her ass uh, to Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant in that main event, but that was about it. You know what I mean? That was a sexy, as it got. When Sunny came in '95, first they were doing a thing where she was going to be like a correspondent. She was going to be like Sean Mooney and Todd Pettingill. She was going to be more news oriented. They were doing Tamir Murphy because her previous gimmick for the past 2 years in Smoky Mountain was like she was like a liberal feminist. She was a take on Hillary Clinton. Of course, conservatives hated Hillary Clinton, always have hated Hillary Clinton, even when she was just the governor's wife in Arkansas before Bill became the president. So Jim Cornette is kind of like Vince McMahon. He always looks at the news and he takes these little things that are going on in the news, especially about race and gender politics, and he tries to incorporate them into professional wrestling. He did that when he formed the Gangsters in the same promotion in Smoky Mountain. So he tried to do that with Sunny, and it was really successful. Sunny got over as Tammy Sytch as that character, but when they brought her into the WWE, Vince, of course, didn't want to do that. He didn't want to shake up the boat that bad in 1995. You know what I mean? So they bring her in as a news anchor reporter. That wasn't working, so they tried to go the route of the fitness gurus. Fitness gurus at that time were very popular, especially on infomercials. So they wanted to create a wrestling version of that. So they took the word prima donnas and they created the body donnas. And they were really annoying. And at first, Brad Radford, Louis Piccoli was their partner, and they were responsible. Chris Candido was for Barry Harwood's first and only run of wins leading up to SummerSlam, the match at SummerSlam 1995. So But again, it wasn't getting over. Really, he wasn't getting over his solo act. So when Louis Spicolli left the WWE in 1995, they brought in Zip, and that was it. They're a pretty good team, but tag team wrestling was suffering at that time. Dr. Tom Pritchard is one of the greatest tag team wrestlers ever. He was in all versions of the Heavenly Bodies, the one with Stan Lane and the one with Jimmy Del Rey, and this one. But Sonny is a really tragic tale. He does a candid interview on Sonny. He worked closely with Sonny, and she basically Jada Pinkett Smith, Chris Candido throughout their whole run there. Candido was devoted to her. He loved her. He brought her into the wrestling business. She was studying to be a med student at one point, and he was the one who brought her into the wrestling business. I think back when he was on the NWA circuit, that's when she started dating him. But when they got really big in WWF, she started to really cuck him. She started doing like with Will Smith, and basically he was the butt of the jokes back then, kind of like Will Smith is now among the wrestling fans. He'll be like, "Oh, everybody knows that Sonny is fucking." She's like fucking every wrestler. She's sucking them all off, and she's supposed to be your wife, and here you are being cucked, being cuckolded by Sonny. You know what I mean? Like behind your back, she's messing around with everybody. Shawn Michaels, has a beard at the time, and he comes out of the dressing room, and everybody sees that her cashmere sweater, pieces of her cashmere sweater, are in Shawn Michaels' beard. Like, come on, it's obvious to it's obvious to everyone, obvious to a duck, as they say, that she's fucking around with Shawn Michaels, and she was fucking around with British Bulldog. And in a 1997 episode of Raw, Shawn Michaels even alludes to that Bret Hart had sunny days with Sonny. So even the Bret Hart, and this is what led to the actual real life altercation between Shawn and Bret in '97, in which Shawn Michaels almost jumped to WCW. That's when he was in all the aftermaths with the outsider shirt, holding up the NWO sign, and he was gonna leave. And it led to the cancellation of their match in King of the Ring '97, the Sunny Days comment. You know, so she was causing tremendous amount of trouble when it came to the women performers. She didn't like Sable. There was an episode of Raw where she was managing Farouk at first. When Farouk first came into the WWE in July of '96, Sonny was managing him. I think they wanted to kind of, you know, do some cash in on that mainstream cachet of that O.J. Simpson, Nicole Brown storyline, a white woman with a black guy. So, and she was on fire as a manager at the time. So when they first brought it Farouk in, he interferes in the tag team match. Ahmed Johnson and Shawn Michaels versus the Smoking Guns. He interferes. He injured Ahmed Johnson's kidney, so they have to hold the Intercontinental Championship up for grabs. And the finals come down to Mark Merrill, who's managed by his wife Sable, and Farouk, who's managed by Sonny. And they get into a worked altercation as their managers, but they really do hate each other. Um, After the Smoking Guns break up in the latter half of '96, Sonny's doing nothing. And Mark Merrill's out with an injury, so Sable's doing nothing. And they become models on Raw for the various merchandise. And Sable really starts to get over more than Sonny because Vince Russo and Vince Russo's doing the booking at this time, they really like uh, Sable more than Sonny. Sable has a better body. She has breast implants and everything. And by towards the latter half of '97, going into '98, Sable starts to get over more. And this Sonny doesn't like this. So Sonny and Sable kind of have that infamous rivalry, kind of like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels did, or kind of like Jacques Rougeau, Jacques Rougeau and the Dynamite Kid kind of have. Wrestling fans know all the ins and outs of these people's rivalries. Famously, Paul Bearer also didn't like Sonny. Sonny is also one of the first recipients, by the way, in Germany of the shit sandwich. The clique was notorious for shitting um, in people's sandwiches and making them eat it. And she received that treatment as well as Sable did, Mark Henry did, a lot of people did. That was one of the biggest ribs that the clique often did on people. I think they did it to her in Germany. It was either her or um, Sable. But yeah, about this incident, this is really sad. I think the judge in Florida, of course, Florida is more conservative, known for harsher sentences. I think, especially this is Ormond County. This is a small town, so I think they will throw the book at Sonny in this, and we won't be seeing Sonny ever again in professional wrestling. Um, in 2011, she did come back for WrestleMania 27, where she um, became part of the Hall of Fame, and she looks really good. Same thing with Raw 15 when she came back in '07. She looked and hugged Hornswoggle. She looked really good, but she fluctuates. She mentions in this podcast too that she has diabetes, and I could see why, because her weight would always fluctuate. You would see her heavy sometimes, you would see her thin sometimes, maybe because of the pills, right? But you know, in 2011, she looked pretty good. Then she would sell her Hall of Fame ring because she needed the money. She was in and out of toxic relationships. She had some domestic charges on her because she attacked one of her boyfriends. She's just crazy. DDP needs to step in and do something with her like he did with Jake Roberts and Scott Hall, because she's one of those tragic wrestling stories like China, like Scott Hall, like Jake the Snake Roberts, that they were just a casualty of the wrestling business, and they always try to blame their problems on other people. She blames it on Shawn Michaels breaking her up, but when Shawn Michaels took her to Jamaica and proposed to her, um, she said no. So you can't, you can't be mad that he chose to go out with someone else and marry someone else. She said in an interview, "Oh, that house that Rebecca Hickenbottom lives in, that's supposed to be my house." No, it's not supposed to be your house, because you chose to stay with Chris Candido. You chose to go behind Chris Candido's back and fall in love with Shawn Michaels. And when Shawn Michaels wanted to make it right with you, he took you out to a whole other island and he sung "Welcome to My World" by Elvis with you, for you, and you did nothing. You did nothing about it. You turned him down. So he moved on to somebody else, Rebecca, the Nitro Girl, and he is happily married with her now, a Christian. So she seems kind of bitter about that, just like China seemed bitter about the Triple H thing. People move on. You got to move on from the past. Or Jake Roberts seeming bitter, blaming his life or his drug problems on that segment, in the snake pit with the honky talk man. You got to move on. Mildred Burke, that was the name I was looking for. Mildred Burke was Billy White Wolf's wife. Uh, Billy Wolf wife, female promoter from the 40s and 50s that was pushing all the female wrestlers. Penny Banner, Mildred Burke, in the initial boom of female wrestling in the late 40s and 50s. Sorry. But you can't blame your your life, the train wreck that your life has become, on other people. You have your own life choices. You have your own agency. You chose to do those drugs. You chose to react to a situation, a tragic situation or a sad situation, like breaking up with Shawn Michaels or getting fired from the WWE in that way. You know what I mean? Nobody put a gun to your head and told you to do drugs. You could say, well, Shawn Michaels influenced me, and I was starstruck by how big of a star Michaels was at the time. Yeah, but you didn't have to do it, though. You know, you didn't have to do drugs. You didn't have to go down that road just because you were hanging out with the clique and everybody else did it. You didn't have to do it. Triple H was hanging out with the clique and he didn't do anything like that. He was a teetotaler. He remained completely sober. other than steroids. But this is the life of Sunny. I wish her the best, but I don't see her ever coming back to the WWE. Honestly, I think the WWE has just thrown their hands up with her. Maybe DDP can do something. He's doing something now, trying to help out Buff Bagwell, who's another person. Buff Bagwell, he signs up for interviews with RF videos. He does interviews with Hannibal where he's all loaded on pills and stuff. He also is another person, one of those people that blames everything, every bad event on other people. Yes, he's been through some stuff. He lost his mom last year. He's been through a lot. But he blames it all on Jim Ross and all on the WWE for firing him in 2001. You can't blame the downfall of your life on other people. Your choices are your choices, and you make those choices as an adult and take responsibility for the choices that you've made. You know, as an adult, don't say, "Oh, it's always everybody else's fault. It's WWE's fault because they fired me. It's Shawn Michaels' fault because he influenced me to drugs." But other people were around Shawn Michaels and they didn't do drugs either. You know what I mean? Or it's Rebecca Hickenbottom's fault because she married Shawn Michaels and had kids with him, and I didn't. And but Shawn Michaels proposed to you. You chose to stay with Chris Candido. Unfortunately, Chris Candido died. I can't say that she loved Candido either because she cheated on him every chance she got. She Will Smith the fuck out of him. Like he was the original Will Smith before Will Smith. Like so you can't blame the downfall of your life on other people. We're adults. We all have free agency. We all make choices, and our choices have consequences. So unfortunately for Sunny, this is her story. If she does get off with a light sentence or something, maybe DDP can step in. Hopefully, DDP has been able to do wonders with ex-professional wrestlers and even other people in bad situations. He's working too with Butterbean. What he was able to do with Scott Hall, what he was able to do with um, Jake the Snake Roberts, tremendous stuff. But if DDP Yoga can't save her, nothing can save her. And I think we've seen the last of her in the WWE. I was in '96, man. I was just coming into puberty at the time, and she was out, and she was always on those Raw magazines. Man, she was freaking hot. She was at the top of the world, and it was a different way to look at female wrestlers. But like I said, you know, she was surpassed by Sable. A lot of people liked Sable even more. I didn't. I always loved Sunny more. You know what I mean? They say certain female celebrities put hair on boys' chest because when they discovered these celebrities, this is when they go into puberty. Well, this was the case with me and Sunny. You know what I mean? Like, me with Sunny. She was, man, she was a big part of the early childhoods of many male wrestling fans. And you always, when you look back at it, you're like, damn, that's tragic what happened to her. But the choices we make in life have consequences. Unfortunately, he's made some terrible choices. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to see my next videos coming out. Best of luck to Tammy, aka Sunny. Um, she's a great shooter interview. I never got into any of that stuff where she was like, I think she was on Skype. You know, wrestling fans were paying her money to take her clothes off. Because by that time, she was way past her prime, man. If she was doing shit like that in '96, '97, even '98, I could see what 2000, 2019. Come on, you just look pathetic. uh, Peace. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Buff was doing the same, but Buff was doing the exact same thing with the women fans of wrestling. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the women fans liked him, when he was handsome stranger when he was Buff Bagwell, but by the time he got out of wrestling, he started becoming a gigolo and selling his services for money. And I was like, nobody cares about you anymore, Buff. Take a hike, But glad to see he's doing better. Peace. Love you guys.